Blue and red lights flashed across my pasture that morning, bouncing off the white fences like warning signals from another world. Karen Williams, the HOA president, was on the phone screaming at 911, claiming I'd threatened her with a gun. Me, standing there on my own porch, hands raised calm as I could be, while my body camera recorded everything. She didn't know she'd just called federal law enforcement to my own front yard. It all started a week earlier. I'd moved out here to the edge of Green Valley Estates, a quiet, supposedly managed neighborhood in rural Texas. I just wanted peace, some open space horses grazing under the morning sun. But Karen couldn't stand peace. She needed control. I noticed her the first time navy blazer clipboard, the posture of someone who thought God himself had signed her HOA title. She was snapping photos of my fence line, measuring my grass with a ruler, muttering to herself. I walked out, wiping my hands on my jeans. "Morning," I said. She jumped, then straightened up fast. "Good morning. I'm Karen Williams, president of Green Valley Estates HOA. You're in violation of community standards." She said it like she was handing down a divine sentence. I stared at her clipboard. "That's interesting. What authority does your HOA have over my ranch?" Her eyes darted left. "We have full legal authority." The words came too quick, like a kid caught lying about homework. When I asked to see her federal registration, her clipboard slipped from her hands. Papers went everywhere. I just stood there watching her crawl on the gravel to gather them, muttering. The funny thing was, she didn't realize the words stamped across one of those papers, Western Region HOA Compliance Confidential. I saw it because I'd written it. Back inside, my radio crackled Field Unit 7 status report. I replied. Subject made contact as predicted. Karen didn't know that my ranch doubled as a regional field office for HUD Housing and Urban Development. My job, investigate fraudulent HOAs across 12 states. But I didn't say that. Not yet. The next morning, she came back more aggressive this time. Red pen in hand, stack of violation notices thicker than a Bible. "Your fence exceeds regulations by 6 inches. You're keeping commercial livestock. This whole setup is illegal." I took out my own pen one with the Federal Eagle logo and jotted notes. Her voice faltered. "When you say community standards," I asked, "you're referring to interstate commerce jurisdiction, right?" She blinked. "What?" "No. These are local HOA regulations." I nodded, typing something into my tablet. "And you filed HUD compliance forms, of course." The color drained from her face. "We don't need HUD anything." I could almost feel her anger shaking. Then my phone rang. I turned slightly so she could see the caller ID, Washington, D.C. "Yes, sir," I said, keeping my tone official. "The subject is escalating on schedule." Karen froze, staring like she'd stepped into a spy movie. When I hung up, she backed away slowly, muttering something about calling legal counsel. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the porch listening to the cicadas, wondering if I'd gone too far. Maybe I should have just cut the damn grass shorter and ignored her. Maybe I was becoming the kind of bureaucrat I used to despise, cold, procedural, detached. But then I remembered Mrs. Anderson, the widow down the road, crying because Karen fined her for a flower pot being non-compliant. I clenched my fists. No, this wasn't about ego. It was about justice. Day 3, she showed up again with reinforcements. 3 neighbors behind her looking uncomfortable like hostages in a parade. "Mr. Thompson," she announced, "we're here to help you comply voluntarily." I smiled politely, greeted each neighbor by name, asked about their kids. Within minutes, they were standing on my side of the fence, not hers. Then I turned to Karen. "You know," I said casually, "it's funny you bring up legal concerns since I helped write the federal oversight guidelines for HOAs." Her jaw dropped. "You... what?" I scrolled through my tablet, displaying the Federal Register page after page of dense law. Section 12.7 covers interstate implications of HOA governance. You might want to review that before issuing fines. Her face turned ashen. Behind me, my monitors flickered to life. Federal databases, classified headers, biometric scanners. My security setup looked more Pentagon than pasture. The neighbors whispered, "What kind of rancher is this guy?" I didn't answer. I just kept documenting. Karen tried to salvage control. She whipped out a new form demanding $2,000 in immediate fines. Her hand shook so badly the paper trembled. I looked her dead in the eye. Karen demanding money under false authority is called wire fraud. It's a federal crime. You're bluffing, she spat. I pressed record on my body cam. The red light blinked. Then you won't mind me documenting your statement for evidence. She backed away, breathing fast. I thought that would be the end of it. But some people don't stop when they've lost. They only stop when they're destroyed. Day 4. She came back unhinged. Clothes, wrinkled hair. Greasy eyes, bloodshot. She stomped right onto my property, kicked over my no trespassing sign and shouted, "This is HOA business. I have full authority here." I stayed calm, hands visible just like they trained me. "Ma'am, please step back. You're trespassing." Then she did it. She pulled out her phone and called 911. "There's a man here threatening me with a weapon," she said smoothly, glancing at me while pretending to be terrified. I didn't move. I just whispered to the camera. Documenting false emergency report, timestamp 8:42. 4 minutes later, squad cars rolled up, sirens slicing through the quiet. Officers jumped out, hands near their holsters. I raised mine slowly. "Officers, I'm reaching for my identification," I said. They nodded. I handed over both my Texas license and my federal badge. The lead officer blinked, his posture shifting instantly. "Sir, you're with HUD." "Yes, sir. Director of Federal HOA Oversight Western Region." The silence that followed was beautiful. Karen froze mid-step. The officer turned toward her. "Ma'am, we're pulling the body cam footage now. On the playback you could see everything, her trespassing, her yelling, her false accusation. There was no weapon, just me calm, recording her meltdown." The officer looked at her, disgust plain on his face. "You just filed a false emergency report, which is a criminal offense." Karen's mask cracked. She tried to bolt for her car, tripped over the same sign she'd kicked earlier, and fell face first into the gravel. Her phone skidded across the asphalt. I offered her my hand. She recoiled like I was the devil. The next hour was chaos. FBI vehicles arrived. HUD agents set up a perimeter. My ranch transformed into a federal staging area. Black SUVs, agents unloading equipment, scanners, laptops, every shred of her fake paperwork photographed, logged, bagged. The neighbors gathered, shocked. Mrs. Anderson showed up with a folder full of Karen's old violation letters. I kept everything she said proudly. I knew someone would need it someday. Karen sat in the back of a police car, pale, shaking, watching her kingdom crumble. The agents traced her accounts, $47,000 in fake fees laundered into personal accounts. I walked up quietly as the prosecutor read her rights. Mail fraud, wire, fraud, money laundering, violation of federal housing law. She whimpered. I didn't know it was federal. I looked at her one last time. Ignorance isn't a defense, Karen. Not when you've been warned. A few weeks later, the federal courthouse in Dallas handed down the verdict: 18 months in prison, 3 years supervised release, full restitution of every stolen dollar. Green Valley Estates HOA disbanded by federal order. Every illegal fee refunded. I didn't attend her sentencing. I didn't need to. I heard about her collapse and court knees giving out when she realized the judge's words, "You're barred from HOA service for life." Sometimes I still stand on my porch at sunrise, same spot where she once screamed about grass height and community standards. The horses graze in peace now. The neighborhood is quiet-free. She called 911 thinking she could bring authority down on me. She never realized real authority doesn't yell at documents. Lesson learned. Never fake power in front of the people who actually have it.